So I've watched Old Dogs Go to Heaven recently, and it was crazy. It was just as crazy as I remember. Um, while doing research, while we're doing research, I found some facts about it that I don't think anyone knows, other than it's a story about redemption. Um, Don Bluth first heard the story when he was in the fourth grade, and then later on, he there was a movie about a German Shepherd who was going to be a dog detective, but it only made it to the storyboard stage, and then it got scrapped. Um, 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 All Dogs Go to Heaven. It came out around the same time The Little Mermaid did, and I think that if All Dogs Go to Heaven came out just a little bit soon, just a little bit later, like in a year or so, then maybe All Dogs Go to Heaven would do just as well as it did on home video. But that's my opinion. Um, um, some of the songs are pretty bouncy. Um, the um, the You Can't Keep a Good Dog Down. That's one. Um, there are some scenes that was going to be in the movie, but were cut for for reasons that I can understand why, especially the going to hell scene. Um, I saw last night. I studied the footage, and I can understand why it was cut. The devil dog or the hellhound that says now that you are mine, and so is its teeth. That was absolutely scary. Um, I can see why it was cut. It scared the heck out of me when I first seen it. Um, but as I got older and studied the footage a little bit more closely, um, it was to show Charlie what's gonna happen to him if he's not if he doesn't get his priorities straight. I'm sure there are other movies and stories that do that, but right now the only thing I can think of is Old Dogs Go to Heaven. Um, I saw the image of the hellhound, and and boy was it ugly. It was an ugly looking creature. I mean, it's not the creature. It's not just the creature itself that can scare people half to death. It's the teeth. Um, Another scene that was going to be in the movie was another idea that they had was going to be in was the alligator was going to appear in the story much earlier. I think there are two possible parts where he could have came. What one is right in the beginning when when Itchy is breaking Charlie out of the a pound. And the other one is is when Charlie it gets hit by the car. Another possible way he could have appeared in the story much sooner is when Charlie comes back to heaven from the first time, and he helps Charlie back onto the pure. But I don't understand why that idea was cut. But as well as I can understand why Charlie getting hit by the car was cut, because no one wants to see that. I mean, Old Dogs Go to Heaven does deal with life and death, but what really caught my attention was the going to hell scene. I studied the footage last night, and I could tell and I can see why it was cut. I mean, the idea of dying and going to hell could be is a very scary concept, and I think that was the idea of the nightmare. It's not just it wasn't just to scare people. It was to show Charlie what might happen to him if he doesn't get his priorities straight. I mean, I might be reading a little bit too deep into it, but that's what I read out of it, because I didn't watch Old Dogs Go to Heaven all the way through until I was much, much older. Well, doing some research, I also found out that there was going to be an Old Dogs Go to Heaven 3, but for whatever reason, that idea got scrapped. Basically, the story was to pick up where the second one left off. Itchy decides to stay in heaven and make sure that the horn doesn't get stolen, but that's for another time. I can see why the going to hell scene was cut, especially the devil dog or the demon dog or whatever you want to call it. I can see why it was cut. It's absolutely scary. It's just a shame that Don Bluth didn't get the release of the full version didn't get to release the version he had when Old Dogs Go to Heaven when Old Dogs Go to Heaven was in development. I've seen some of his movies. The Secret of NIMH. I think, if I remember right, it was the first movie he did after he left Disney. And then he did The Land Before Time and so forth. Old Dogs Go to Heaven is an interesting story. It may not be my favorite Don Bluth movie, but it does have a reason behind it. There is a message somewhere in there. But Old Dogs Go to Heaven is an interesting movie. It's just a shame Don Bluth didn't get respect while he was in filmmaking field. He should get a lot more respect than he did. He's an absolute legend. He can draw like it's nobody's business. Don Bluth was an incredible animator. Now, I'm not saying that Old Dogs Go to Heaven is a dumb movie by any means, but I am saying that there are some scenes in there that you might want to keep in mind, particularly the going to hell scene and so forth. I can really understand why it was cut. So, my thoughts on All Dogs Go to Heaven is, it's a pretty good movie. I didn't watch it all the time, but, I watched it enough times to get the idea of the story. And that it's never too late to correct your past mistakes. So, those are my thoughts on All Dogs Go to Heaven, and I really do think that Don Bluth should have gotten more credit and respect, and it's a shame that he didn't get to release an uncut version of All Dogs Go to Heaven. So, these are my thoughts and feelings about All Dogs Go to Heaven, and I am out.